The swirling patterns rippled like the violent borealis of the time of trial. The colors reminded Abidemi of looking deep into the fires of a forge, ready to receive metal. It was said a master smiter could look into a furnace and know the exact moment to thrust the iron into its heat, when to turn, and when to withdraw it just by listening to its song. Zytos had led them back to Terra, but of the three of them, Eigen Gargo was the master of reading the fire's song. Gargo scanned the fighting, ready to call out any weakness or predict a rout. The burnished metal of his augmetic arms reflected the light of explosions, and fire danced in the red lenses of his battle helm. Abidemi followed his gaze, but it was impossible to guess where one part of the line would bend or break. Lightning-shot smoke all but obscured the fighting, and the sounds of clashing metal and gunfire was much the same at one point as it was at another. Vast shapes reared up, bloated silhouettes, and angular snapshots of unnatural creatures the enemy had pressed into its ranks. Zytos lifted his helm and snapped it into place with a hiss of pressurized air.
"Here,"
said Zytos, turning to retrieve a pair of battered breacher shields from the ground behind him and handing one to Abidemi.
"It's not Promethean craft, but it'll do."
Eigen Gargo served as a member of the Salamander's Legion during the Great Crusade and Horus Heresy. A veteran of countless wars fought in the name of the Lord of Drakes, Gargo's tenure as a metal shaper would be hindered with the loss of both his arms during combat, having them replaced with artificial alternatives to continue his service, wielding his bladed spear which befitted his stocky frame and heavy shoulders. Present during the Battle of Nocturne, fought against the invaders of the Death Guard Legion, alongside his brethren Barak Zytos and Atok Abidemi, the sons of Vulcan fought to defend the body of their Primarch, stowed upon their voidcraft, Charybdis. Taking their liege's body to the surface of Nocturne, joining with the forces of Lord Chaplain Nomus Raitan, following their successful battle against the traitors, the Salamanders purged the Death Guard presence upon their homeworld during the War of Drakes. Their first Captain Nartellus Numion, taking his Primarch's body to the summit of Mount Deathfire. With his sacrifice hurling himself into the molten core, Vulcan rose once again, assembling Gargo, Zytos, and Abidemi to join him as his Draxard honor guard. Traveling through a webway portal to reach the throne world in time to defend the Imperial Palace, during the Siege of Terra, Gargo and his kinsmen aided in the defense of the Western Hemispheric region, fending off the assaults of the Thousand Suns. Saving the life of Abidemi from his entombing beneath tons of debris caused by an Iron Storm missile strike at the Indomitor Wall, the Imperial Army soldiers known as Vulcan's Own stood their ground as the Draxward stood tall. Fighting beside the pack of Bodvar Bjarki and the ascended Remembrance of Psyker known as Promeus, the Draxward would learn that Magnus the Red had deployed his forces as a distraction, allowing his own strike force to infiltrate the Imperial Palace. Vulcan and his Draxward standing defiant against the Crimson King at the base of the Golden Throne. As Gargo witnessed the wounding of his lord, Eigen drove his spear into Magnus's stomach, tearing at his organs. Filled with vengeance with the death of his fellow Draxward, Barak, Gargo and Abidemi forced the Crimson King to surrender fully to Chaos to preserve his life, banishing the Primarch from real space before aiding the plight of the palace defenders. Once more fighting beside Bodvar Bjarki and his men during the defense of Mercury Wall, Eigen and Abidemi adopted sigils of the Dreadbiter carved by the Space Wolf onto their armor, galvanizing their mutual admiration for their valor. Joined by the Knights Errant, Nathaniel Garrow, and Gavial Loken henceforth, none would know the ultimate fate of this valiant son of Vulcan. His efforts to defend the innocent in the name of his Primarch, a testament to the courage of his creed.